Have you ever felt invisible to the world, like you're worth nothing, until the one thing that makes you different suddenly makes you valuable to someone powerful? Imagine having something in your veins so rare that doctors call it golden blood. Yet you live paycheck to paycheck in a cramped apartment with leaky pipes and dreams that seem impossible to reach. Meanwhile, across the city, a man who has everything money can buy lies dying, his billions useless without the one thing only you can provide. When Mia Baker saved Alexander Blackwood's life with her ultra-rare blood donation, she never expected to catch the billionaire's attention, or his heart. But as their worlds collide, she must confront her deepest fear. Is he falling for her, or just the precious liquid running through her veins? Their story will make you question what truly gives a person value in this world. Is it what we possess, what makes us unique, or something deeper that money can never buy? Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to Heartbeat Narratives, your ultimate destination for all things romances, connection, and heartfelt stories. I'm thrilled to have you here, sharing this amazing journey of exploring love in all its beautiful, complex, and magical forms. Whether you're a hopeless romantic, someone searching for relationship insights, or just love diving into heartwarming content, you're exactly where you need to be. If you're enjoying what you see, I'd be incredibly grateful if you could hit that subscribe button to stay connected with our Heartbeat Narratives community. Drop a like to show some love, support, and motivation. Share this video with someone who might need a little romance in their life. Your support means the world to me and helps us continue creating content that celebrates love, connection, and the beautiful stories that bring us together. The alarm blared at 5 a.m., jolting Mia Baker awake in her cramped studio apartment. Water dripped steadily from the leaky faucet, creating a small puddle on the cracked linoleum floor. She silenced the alarm and dragged herself out of bed, wincing as her bare feet touched the cold floor. Another day, another struggle. Just 2 more years, she whispered to herself as she glanced at her nursing textbook stacked on the rickety desk. 2 more years of double shifts at Manhattan General's cafeteria. 2 more years of instant noodles and borrowed textbooks. 2 more years until she could finally become a registered nurse. As Mia showered in lukewarm water, she absent-mindedly traced a small tattoo on her inner wrist. R8 null. Most people assumed it was some trendy symbol, but it was actually a reminder of what made her different from 99.9999% of the population. Mia was one of fewer than 50 people worldwide with golden blood, the rarest blood type on Earth. So rare that even most doctors had never encountered it. She had learned to keep it secret after an incident in her hometown when she was 18. Once word got out, she had been hounded by medical researchers, blood banks, and even some shady characters offering money for regular donations. The attention had been overwhelming, making her feel less like a person and more like a walking blood bank. That's when she'd moved to New York, changed her medical records to private, and started over. Across town, in a luxurious penthouse overlooking Central Park, Alexander Blackwood was already awake, reviewing quarterly reports from his global tech empire, Black Tech Industries. At 35, he had everything money could buy except time. His assistant had already scheduled his day into 15-minute increments, a relentless parade of meetings, calls, and decisions worth millions. "Mr. Blackwood, your car is waiting," his assistant announced through the intercom. "Board meeting in 40 minutes. Alexander straightened his perfectly tailored suit and grabbed his briefcase. Another day at the top of the world. Another day of emptiness he refused to acknowledge. Little did either of them know that fate had scheduled an appointment for them both, one that would rewrite their life stories forever. Have you ever wondered if something about you that seems ordinary could change your life forever? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The morning had been unusually busy at Manhattan General's cafeteria. Mia balanced 3 plates of rubbery eggs and toast as she navigated between tables, her feet already aching 4 hours into her shift. The hospital cafeteria buzzed with the usual mix of exhausted residents, anxious family members, and administrative staff. "Mia, can you cover Register 3? Her supervisor called out. Denise had to leave. Family emergency. Mia nodded, though inside she was calculating lost tips from table service. Every dollar mattered on her tight budget. She wiped her hands on her apron and headed to the register just as the hospital PA system crackled to life. Code blue, Trauma 1. All available surgical staff to Trauma 1 immediately. The emergency wasn't unusual. Manhattan General's Trauma Center was one of the busiest in the city, but the wave of activity that followed certainly was. Mia watched as doctors she recognized from the surgical department abandoned their lunches and sprinted toward the exit. Minutes later, the cafeteria television switched to breaking news. This just in, tech billionaire Alexander Blackwood, CEO of Black Tech Industries, has been involved in a serious car accident in Midtown. Sources say he's been rushed to Manhattan General in critical condition. Whispers erupted throughout the cafeteria. Even Mia had heard of Blackwood. His face was regularly splashed across business magazines and tech blogs. She continued working. The celebrity news nothing more than a momentary distraction from her exhausting shift. 3 hours later, as Mia cleaned tables after the lunch rush, she overheard two surgical residents talking in hushed, urgent tones at a corner table. It's impossible. They've contacted every hospital and blood bank in the tri-state area, the first resident said, running her hands through her hair. Without it, he won't survive another surgery. What blood type needs its own private jet? The second resident asked. RH, the rarest on Earth. Blackwood's medical file shows he has it. Some genetic quirk. The trauma surgeon says we need at least 2 units by tonight or we lose him. Mia froze, the cleaning cloth suspended mid-wipe. Her heart pounded in her chest. She had spent years hiding her blood type, building a new life away from those who saw her as nothing but a rare medical resource. For the rest of her shift, Mia battled with herself. This wasn't just anyone. It was a billionaire who could use his influence to turn her life upside down again. But it was also a human being who would die without her help. As her shift ended, instead of heading toward the exit, Mia found herself walking toward the nurse's station on the surgical floor. Her hands trembled as she approached the charge nurse. "Excuse me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I heard about the patient needing RH null blood." She swallowed hard. "I'm RH null." The charge nurse stared at her in disbelief. "Are you certain? This isn't something to joke about." Mia pulled up her sleeve, showing her small tattoo. "I can provide documentation. I've been a confirmed donor before." Within minutes, Mia was surrounded by the hospital's top surgical team, answering questions about her medical history as they prepared her for an emergency donation. As the needle slid into her vein and her rare, golden blood began flowing into the collection bag, Mia wondered if she had just made the biggest mistake of her life, or if she was saving more than just a stranger's life today. Alexander Blackwood awoke to the soft, rhythmic beeping of medical monitors. His vision blurred, then gradually focused on the hospital room's sterile white ceiling. Pain radiated from seemingly everywhere, his chest, his legs, his head. Fragments of memory flashed through his mind. The screeching tires, shattering glass, the metallic taste of blood. "Welcome back," a deep voice said. Dr. Patterson, the chief of surgery, stepped into view. "You gave us quite a scare, Mr. Blackwood." Alexander tried to speak, but his throat felt like sandpaper. A nurse helped him sip water through a straw. "How bad?" he finally managed. "Multiple fractures, internal bleeding, collapsed lung. But what nearly killed you is your blood type. RH null. Less than 50 people worldwide have it." Dr. Patterson checked Alexander's for. "We couldn't fly incompatible blood in time." Alexander's brow furrowed. "Then how?" "A miracle, honestly. Someone at this very hospital had your blood type. They donated immediately. Saved your life." For a man accustomed to buying whatever he needed, the idea that his survival had hinged on a stranger's goodwill was disorienting. Alexander had built his empire on the principle that everything had a price. Yet here he was, alive because of something money couldn't have secured in time. "Who?" he asked. "I need to thank them personally." Dr. Patterson shook his head. "Hospital policy protects donor privacy. They haven't authorized release of their information." Over the next 3 days, Alexander's hospital room transformed into a remote command center for Black Tech Industries. His executive team rotated through briefings while flowers and gifts from business associates piled up in the corner. Yet he remained distracted, repeatedly questioning staff about his mysterious donor. On the fourth day, Alexander had his personal assistant extend a public offer through the hospital administration, a $5 million donation to Manhattan General in exchange for a meeting with the donor. The hospital administration was clearly tempted, but maintained that they couldn't breach confidentiality protocols. Meanwhile, Mia had returned to her regular cafeteria shifts, telling no one about her donation. She'd requested absolute anonymity, even using her middle name on the donation forms. The last thing she wanted was to become the girl with the golden blood again. Yet she couldn't help checking news updates about the billionaire's recovery on her breaks. On Friday afternoon, Mia was assigned to deliver lunch to the VIP floor, an unusual task for cafeteria staff. As she pushed the food cart down the hallway, she noticed increased security outside one room. Keeping her head down, she continued past, only to be stopped by a nurse. "That tray goes to room 712, the nurse said, pointing to the heavily guarded door. Mia's stomach dropped. Room 712, Alexander Blackwood's room. She considered asking someone else to deliver it, but couldn't think of a reasonable excuse. Taking a deep breath, she approached the security guards, who checked her ID badge before allowing her entry. The room was more like a luxury hotel suite than a hospital room. Alexander sat in a chair by the window, his laptop open, his phone to his ear. He looked paler and thinner than his magazine photos, with a large bruise still visible along his jawline. He glanced up as she entered, then quickly ended his call. "Just leave it there," he said, gesturing to a table. Mia nodded and arranged his meal tray, keeping her face turned away. She was nearly at the door when he spoke again. "Wait, do you work on this floor regularly?" "No, sir. Cafeteria staff," she replied, still facing the door. "Have you heard anything about a special blood donor? Someone who came forward a few days ago." Mia's hand trembled on the door handle. She should say no. She should walk out. Instead, something made her turn around. "Why is finding this person so important to you, Mr. Blackwood?" she asked. "Is it just to clear your conscience with a big check?" Alexander's eyes narrowed at her unexpected directness. Hospital staff rarely spoke to him this way. He studied her. The cafeteria uniform, the dark circles under her eyes suggesting exhaustion, the unusual intensity in her gaze. "It's not about money," he said finally. "When you face death, it changes your perspective. I need to thank the person who gave me a second chance. Properly." Their eyes locked, and in that moment, Alexander saw something in her expression shift. A recognition. "It was you," he breathed. Mia stepped back, her heart racing. "I should go." "Please," Alexander said, attempting to stand but wincing in pain. "Just 5 minutes." Against her better judgment, Mia closed the door and stayed. 2 weeks after his discharge from the hospital, Alexander sat in his office overlooking the Manhattan skyline, distracted from the quarterly projections on his screen. Since discovering Mia was his donor, he'd been unable to stop thinking about their brief conversation. Her reluctance to accept his gratitude, her refusal of any reward, the way she fled his room after only a few minutes. His phone buzzed with a message from his private investigator, a comprehensive background report on Mia Baker, 24 years old, nursing student, working 2 jobs to cover tuition, no family connections in New York, previously from a small town in Ohio. Alexander hesitated before opening the full file, something unusual for a man accustomed to having all information at his fingertips. Instead, he picked up his phone and called Manhattan General's administration office. The next day, Mia arrived at work to find the cafeteria abuzz with excitement. A massive donation had been made to the hospital's nursing scholarship program. The first recipient, Mia Baker, selected for outstanding service and contribution to patient care. "This wasn't my idea," she protested to her supervisor, but the decision had come from the highest levels of hospital administration. The scholarship would cover her remaining tuition and provide a stipend, so she could reduce her working hours. That evening, as Mia left for the hospital's main entrance, a sleek black car pulled alongside her. The window lowered to reveal Alexander Blackwood. "Need a ride?" he asked. "You can't buy me, Mr. Blackwood," Mia said, continuing to walk. Alexander exited the car, still moving carefully due to his injuries. I'm not trying to. The scholarship has no strings attached. Then why are you here? To invite you to dinner. Just dinner. To thank you properly. Mia stopped walking. I donated blood anonymously for a reason. I don't want to be known for my blood type. Alexander nodded thoughtfully. I understand privacy concerns better than most. How about this? Dinner at my home, not in public. Just a conversation between two people who happen to share the rarest blood type on Earth. Against her better judgment, Mia agreed. One dinner, she told herself, just to make clear that she wanted no further contact. That dinner turned into a surprising evening of genuine conversation. In his private space, away from corporate pressures and public scrutiny, Alexander revealed a different side. Thoughtful, even vulnerable as he described his near-death experience. The strangest part wasn't the pain, he confessed as they sat in his expansive living room after dinner. It was the absolute clarity. All my achievements, my wealth, my companies, none of it mattered in that moment. Mia studied him, seeing beyond the billionaire facade to the lonely man beneath. What did matter? The fact that I'd built an empire but not a life. He gazed out at the glittering city below. No one would have really mourned Alexander the person, just Blackwood the CEO. Would you trust someone who seemed interested in you, but might have ulterior motives? Tell us what you think in the comments. Over the following weeks, Alexander created reasons to see Mia again, consulting her on a new health tech initiative, seeking her input on a hospital donation program, even asking for nursing advice as he recovered. Each meeting revealed more layers to them both. Mia began to see that beneath his powerful exterior was someone searching for authentic connection in a world where everyone wanted something from him. Alexander discovered in Mia someone who valued dignity over comfort, principles over expediency, and who saw him as a person rather than a resource. One evening, after showing her the botanical garden he'd installed on his penthouse roof, a private green space in the concrete jungle, Alexander reached for her hand. You know, they call our blood type golden blood because it's so valuable, he said softly. But I've come to realize that what makes you truly valuable has nothing to do with your veins. Mia felt a warmth spread through her chest, even as caution whispered in her mind. Was she just another rarity for his collection? A unique acquisition with medical benefits? She'd spent years protecting herself from those who valued her only for her blood. Alexander, I need to know something, she said, withdrawing her hand. If my blood were common, would you still be interested in knowing me? The question hung between them as a text alert lit up Alexander's phone, an urgent message from his board of directors. His expression darkened as he read it. I need to handle this, he apologized. Can we continue tomorrow? Mia nodded, but as he stepped away to make calls, she overheard fragments that sent ice through her veins. Yes, she's here. No, she doesn't suspect. The medical possibilities are extraordinary, worth millions, possibly billions. If we can synthesize it, of course I can get more samples. Heart pounding. Mia slipped away while Alexander was still on the call, taking the service elevator down and disappearing into the night, her worst fears seemingly confirmed. 3 days later, Alexander sat in an emergency board meeting, barely listening to his chief medical officer's presentation about Black Tech's new healthcare division. His messages to Mia had gone unanswered. She hadn't shown up for her shifts at the hospital. It was as if she had vanished. Mr. Blackwood? The CMO's voice broke through his thoughts. Your input on the blood synthesis project. Alexander focused on the slide showing projected profits from artificially recreating rare blood types. The business case was sound, revolutionary even, but something felt fundamentally wrong. How did this project get greenlight? He asked sharply. I don't recall approving research in this direction. The board members exchanged glances. His CFO cleared his throat. After your accident, when we discovered the donor was a hospital employee with Rh-null blood, it seemed an obvious opportunity. The potential to synthesize such rare blood would transform emergency medicine globally. And make billions in the process, Alexander added coldly. Well, yes, that's what we do, isn't it? Transform lives through technology, while creating shareholder value. Alexander stood abruptly. Meeting adjourned. Pull all resources from this project immediately. Later that evening, as Alexander paced his penthouse, his personal physician arrived for his scheduled checkup. Dr. Miller had been his doctor for over a decade, one of the few people Alexander truly trusted. "Your body's rejecting the new heart valve," Dr. Miller said gravely after examining him. "We need to schedule another surgery within the week. And let me guess, I'll need more blood transfusions. More RH-no blood." Dr. Miller nodded. "I've already put out requests through medical networks, but given the rarity..." Alexander's phone rang. His head of security. "Sir, we've located Ms. Baker. She purchased a bus ticket to Ohio this morning." After his security team provided Mia's departure time, Alexander made a decision. Despite his deteriorating condition, he dismissed Dr. Miller and drove himself to the bus terminal, arriving just as passengers were boarding for the overnight journey to Cleveland. He spotted her in line, a small duffel bag at her feet. She looked tired, defeated. Nothing like the spirited woman who had challenged him to see beyond his wealth. "Mia!" he called out, pushing through the crowd. She turned, her expression hardening when she saw him. "Leave me alone, Alexander. You disappeared. You left your apartment, your job." "I heard you on the phone," she said bitterly. "The medical possibilities, getting more samples. Was any of it real, or was I just another acquisition target?" Alexander staggered slightly, catching himself against a pillar. His face had gone alarmingly pale. "That call was what you think. Then what was it?" Mia demanded. "My board. They saw an opportunity when they learned about you. They started a project to synthesize rare blood types. Without my knowledge or approval." He took a labored breath. "I shut it down immediately when I found out." Mia studied his face, wanted to believe him but still wary. Then she noticed the sheen of sweat on his forehead, the slight tremor in his hands. "Alexander, are you okay?" He tried to respond but suddenly collapsed to his knees, clutching his chest. Mia rushed forward, her nursing training kicking in as she loosened his tie and checked his pulse. "Someone call an ambulance!" she shouted to the startled crowd. "Alexander, stay with me. What's happening?" Through gritted teeth, he managed to explain about the failing heart valve, the need for another surgery. "They need more blood, your blood type." Mia's mind raced. He had come here knowing he was ill, knowing he needed her blood, yet he hadn't mentioned it. He hadn't tried to manipulate her into donating again. As they waited for the ambulance, Alexander grasped her hand. "I didn't come for your blood, Mia. I came for you, because the thought of never seeing you again hurt worse than any physical pain." The paramedics arrived, quickly loading Alexander onto a stretcher. As they prepared to depart, the lead paramedic turned to Mia. "Are you family?" Before she could answer, Alexander weakly raised his hand. "She's everything." Mia made her decision. "I'm coming with him." In the ambulance, as Alexander drifted in and out of consciousness, he struggled to speak. "I never answered your question." "Save your strength," Mia urged. "No, you need to know." His voice was barely audible above the sirens. "If your blood were as common as water, I'd still think you the most extraordinary person I've ever met." As they arrived at the hospital and doctors rushed Alexander into emergency surgery, Mia once again found herself donating blood, wondering if love was worth the risk of being hurt again, or if what they had was even love at all. 3 weeks after his second surgery, Alexander stood at the podium of the newly renamed Baker Blackwood Medical Research Center at Manhattan General Hospital. Camera flashes punctuated the hushed anticipation of the assembled reporters and medical professionals. Mia watched from the front row, still uncomfortable with the attention, but supportive of the mission. "Today marks not just a personal milestone in my recovery," Alexander began, "but a new direction for medical research. This center will focus on ethical advances in blood research, with particular emphasis on helping those with rare blood types worldwide." He outlined the center's 3 pillars: developing blood substitutes available to all regardless of ability to pay, creating a global network to connect rare blood type donors in emergencies, and researching genetic factors behind rare blood types, all conducted with strict ethical oversight, ensuring donor autonomy and privacy. And now, Alexander continued, I'd like to invite the person who inspired this center to join me, not because she has golden blood, but because she has a golden heart. Mia rose hesitantly and joined him at the podium. Ms. Baker has agreed to serve as patient advocate director, ensuring that this center never loses sight of the human beings behind every blood sample and medical file. Applause filled the auditorium as cameras captured their handshake, but the reporters couldn't see Alexander whisper, "Ready for the real announcement?" Mia nodded slightly, her heart racing. "There's one more thing." Alexander addressed the crowd again. Something personal. He turned to face Mia directly now, taking both her hands in his. "When I was fighting for my life, your blood saved me. But during my recovery, it was your kindness, your integrity, and your vision that truly healed me." Whispers rippled through the audience as Alexander reached into his pocket and lowered himself carefully to one knee, still mindful of his healing wounds. "Mia Baker, you've taught me that true value isn't measured in dollars or rarity, but in how we touch each other's lives." He opened a small box, revealing a simple yet elegant ring. "I'm not offering you a transaction where your blood type makes you valuable to me. I'm offering partnership, respect, and love that would exist regardless of what flows through your veins. Will you marry me?" Tears welled in Mia's eyes as the room fell completely silent. "When we met, I was terrified of being valued only for my blood," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "And you were surrounded by people who valued you only for your wealth. We've both been reduced to what makes us rare instead of who we are." She reached down and helped him to his feet, standing eye to eye. "Yes, I'll marry you. Not because you're Alexander Blackwood, the billionaire, but because you're Alexander who sees me completely." The crowd erupted in applause as they embraced, cameras capturing the moment that would dominate headlines the next day. 6 months later, they stood hand in hand on the rooftop garden of their new home. More modest than Alexander's former penthouse, but with space for medical library Mia had always dreamed of building. The Baker Blackwood Research Center had already connected 15 people with ultra-rare blood types to life-saving donors, and the first blood substitute trials were showing promise. "Do you ever regret it?" Mia asked, watching the sunset paint the sky in vivid oranges and pinks. Stepping back from black tech to focus on the foundation, Alexander shook his head. "I built a tech empire because I thought success meant accumulating more. Now I understand it's about what you give, not what you have." He wrapped his arm around her waist. "Besides, I've never been happier or healthier. The board still resents me for stealing you away," Mia noted with a small smile. "They'll adapt, just like I did when a cafeteria worker refused to be impressed by my billions." He kissed her forehead. "Best reality check I ever got." As evening descended on the city, they remained on the rooftop. Two people with the rarest blood on earth who had found something even rarer, a connection that saw beyond surface value to the beating heart within. Do you believe people from different worlds can find true love? Subscribe for more incredible love stories that defy all odds. In a world obsessed with rarity and value, we often mistake what makes someone truly precious. Alexander Blackwood had everything money could buy, yet lived in an emotional poverty where his worth was measured in stock prices and company valuations. Mia Baker possessed something biologically priceless, but yearned simply to be seen as herself, not a walking medical resource. Their journey reminds us that true value isn't found in bank accounts or even in our DNA, but in our capacity to see beyond the surface to the authentic person beneath. When Alexander finally understood that Mia's worth transcended her rare blood, he discovered something his billions could never purchase. Genuine love based on who he was, not what he owned. Similarly, when Mia realized Alexander valued her mind, heart, and spirit above her medical uniqueness, she found the acceptance she had always sought. Their story challenges us to examine how we value others in our own lives. Do we appreciate people for what they can provide us, or for who they truly are? Do we allow others to see our authentic selves, or do we hide behind labels and expectations? In the end, the rarest gift isn't golden blood or enormous wealth. It's the ability to truly see another person and to be truly seen in return. The Baker Blackwood Medical Research Center celebrated its first anniversary with a global conference bringing together doctors, researchers, and patients with rare blood conditions from around the world. In the main atrium, beneath a striking glass dome that bathed the space in natural light, Alexander and Mia unveiled their newest initiative, a scholarship program for medical students from underprivileged backgrounds. 1 year ago, I thought saving my life was the greatest gift Mia could give me, Alexander told the assembled crowd. I was wrong. Showing me how to truly live was far more precious. Later that evening, as they walked home to the park rather than taking the car, one of many simple pleasures Alexander had discovered, Mia stopped beneath a flowering cherry tree. I have something to tell you, she said, her eyes shining with emotion. She took his hand and placed it gently on her stomach. Our family is growing. Alexander's eyes widened. Are you certain? Mia nodded. Confirmed this morning. In about 7 months, there will be another person with our rare blood type in the world. As they continued their walk home, the setting sun cast long shadows before them. No longer separate silhouettes, but intertwined figures moving forward together into a future neither could have imagined alone. Sometimes the rarest treasures are found in the most unexpected places, and sometimes the most life-changing gifts come disguised as ordinary moments of human kindness. For Mia and Alexander, a simple act of donation had transformed into a lifetime of giving, to each other and to the world.